So as we mentioned at the start of this newscast, legendary actor and director Robert Redford has died. His publicist says he passed away at his home at Sundance in the mountains of Utah, the place that he loved so much, surrounded by those he loved. No cause of death was given. Redford was known for his starring roles in Butch Cassidy and The Sundance Kid and All the President's Men, The Way We Were, the list goes on. He was 89 years old. I mean, I feel badly just listing those two.
Right.
Let's talk about the legacy and impact he left. And MSU Denver professor of film and media studies, Vincent Piturro, is here. Thank you so much for joining us. We have just been chatting. It's hard to even list everything because he made such an impact in front of the camera, behind the camera, and for young independent filmmakers.
Well, absolutely. His career spanned 6 decades, going back to the early 60s as a young actor. He then became a leading man, one of Hollywood's most famous leading men, impossibly handsome, impossibly cool. But he was so much more than that. He was more than just a leading man. He was more than a star. He transcended that sort of simple label and became an icon. He went on to direct his own films, produce his own films. And many of those he wanted to promote different people, different stories that hadn't been told by classic Hollywood. And that also spurred him to start the Sundance Institute in 1991, which led to the Sundance Film Festival, of course, which we'll see in Colorado in another year, in a few months.
And I love that he was a collaborator, right? Just listening to like all the different people, whether they were part of the crew or some big name celebrities talking about his legacy today, that he was one to empower, one to collaborate. A lot of people here, I mean, maybe they're just now learning that, you know, he was a student at CU briefly. He worked at the Sink as a janitor.
Yeah.
There are ties here.
Well, he was a student for a short time,
right?
And we won't go into why he wasn't a student for very long, because he has much better things in his career to talk about. So yeah, he has some interesting Colorado ties for a short time. Well, what he really loved was the West, and he lived in. He was born in California, but he lived in Utah most of his life, and hence the Sundance Film Festival was started there and remained there until till this January. But going back to what you said about being a collaborator, when you mentioned All the President's Men in the intro there, he was so interested in collaborating that he spent time with the original writers of the book on Watergate for a very long time. He basically followed him around and to the point where he couldn't do it anymore because Bob Woodward said, "Hey, I can't have you follow me around because nobody is watching, nobody's listening to me. No. I can't get anything done with Robert Redford following me around."
Right.
Yeah, I remember years ago he came out here for an environmental panel, and everybody just stopped because it was Robert Redford that was there. But he was so calculated about his roles as well, because he could have just been that gorgeous leading man, and he said, "No, you know what? I'm going to do some other things."
Yeah, and one great example of that is a film called Jeremiah Johnson, which is one of my personal favorites by him. Which
I've heard of it.
It's one that you'll have to see. That's one of those films that, hey, what would Robert Redford like us to do today is go see a film like Jeremiah Johnson, where he played a white man but living in the wilderness and marries a Native American woman. And it's a very quiet film, but it's also a very violent film. Just beware.
Heads up.
But it's a very different type of Western, but the kind of story that he thought should be told because it wasn't told very much.
Right.
Another film that he directed called The Milagro Beanfield War, which
know that one.
it's a wonderful film, but he was just the director, part writer, but he didn't want to get in front of the camera because he didn't want to take away from the story, which was about migrant workers.
Unbelievable. Like a true man of the people, right? Telling other people's stories.
Absolutely. He
Unbelievable.
He was an activist, and then one of the reasons why he started the Sundance Institute and the festival was to amplify those voices that wouldn't be heard otherwise.
Well, he leaves us just this incredible body of work, and it will continue to inspire generations. And when Sundance comes here, that's the first time I'm going to think of is Robert Redford.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. We could sit for hours and talk about it.
Isn't it great?
Yes.
I know.
Good.
I know.
So great.
We'll have to have
Thank
you back.
Thank you very much.